What is safe food? Keeping food safe is not only the responsibility of the processor or grower, but also you and me as a consumer. How we handle food at the grocery store to the table is key in guaranteeing our families and friends safe food. Today on It's About You, Peggy Helton, Family and Consumer Science Agent from Whitley County, will give us tips on how to keep food safe from the grocery store to the kitchen table, as well as keeping food safe during emergency situations. And Janet Krasinski, registered dietitian and director of the Food and Nutrition Program at the University of Kentucky, will explain to us why safe food is also good for our health. Peggy, how can we keep food safe during grocery shopping?
The best way to keep food safe during grocery shopping is the way you shop. It's important to keep cold foods cold while you're shopping for foods. And you do that by selecting for the cold foods, refrigerated foods, and frozen foods the very last part of shopping. So when you come into the grocery store, go to the center aisles first, select your canned goods or your boxes of food, bags of food like rice or cereal. Then the next step is to get your produce foods and keep them in a separate compartment, separate in the grocery cart itself, so that they will not cross-contaminate with your meats. Also, it's important to buy your milk, your refrigerated foods, your frozen foods last.
What are some tips that you have for us to keep food safe during shopping as well as transporting to home?
Well, take advantage of those bags that the grocery store has for you to put your produce in. You can also bag your meat in those bags to keep your meat safe. You can look at the dates on the products. On the canned foods, the dates are on the bottom.
Peggy, especially for milk, when we see a date on it, does that mean that we have to quit using it by that date, or what does that really mean?
Well, actually, the date on the milk and dairy products, probably you could use the milk for a few more days, a week, if you stored it safely, if you keep it safe from the time you buy it at the grocery store until you get home.
So what you're really saying, Peggy, is that if you keep food safe from the grocery to the table, not only do you extend the shelf life of food, but you also save money.
Yes, that's a good point to remember, certainly. Well, you definitely want to store the food that you buy at the grocery store just like it's stored at the grocery store. If it's in the refrigerator, you want to bring it home and put it in the refrigerator. You want to put the frozen foods in the freezer. The meat products need to be wrapped in freezer paper or freezer bags. Make sure the bags say freezer when you buy them. And make sure that you mark what you have, the contents of the package, and the date that you put it in the freezer. And always use what you put in first. First in, first out.
Peggy, we've stored food to make sure that it's safe. How do we keep it safe during preparation?
You hear this all the time, but it's so important, you can't hear it enough. Keep your hands clean and wash them often. Also, it's important to keep all surfaces clean, countertops, your kitchen table, and your floors. A clean kitchen is a safe kitchen.
Peggy, with the arrival of spring comes the arrival of spring storms, and unfortunately that can mean a loss of power or either other disasters for us. How can we keep food safe regardless of the weather?
When the electricity stops, the main thing you want to remember is to try not to open your freezer or refrigerator. The refrigerator will stay for 4 hours. The freezer, it takes 48 hours if it's full for foods to thaw, and 24 hours if it's half full. You can always have dry ice or block ice. You can go purchase that perhaps and keep food longer. As long as it's got ice crystals, it's safe to refreeze. And the main thing to remember too is to keep an emergency kit on hand and keep foods that don't need refrigeration.
What are some foods that we need to keep in an emergency kit?
Some individual servings of meats and fruits like peanut butter, and some non-fat dry milk would be good. And keep it in an emergency container to go so that if you need to go in the emergency, you can grab and go.
Well, Janet, why is food safety so important to your health?
Because you are part of a family, and families get sick, communities get sick. When you have not handled food correctly in your home, you have increased the chance of a foodborne illness occurring. It is not a pleasant experience. However, there are populations that are even more vulnerable than your general population, your family. And that would be the elderly. It would be those that have chronic diseases, they have immunodeficiencies, and young children. And you can actually die from foodborne illness, particularly if you sit in one of those categories. And the last thing you want to do is to make your friends and family sick. Food safety is so easy as long as you wash your hands, you cook your food to temperature, you store it, and you don't cross-contaminate where you get uncooked foods and cooked foods together. It is so simple to prevent, but it's also so easy for it to occur.
For more information on food safety, click on the University of Kentucky Family and Consumer Science website or visit your local Cooperative Extension office.